From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
You need Jesus. You need money.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, we hop into a time machine and go back to 2022. With 114 days until kickoff, we begin asking if and how FSU can beat Bama. And do we need to stop gassing up the portal acquisitions? Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com works faster and longer. 7 hours of energy nourishes your body. It's also keto friendly. No sugar crash, but 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine to give you energy throughout your day. It's all-natural caffeine, so the absorption is on point. No peaks, no valleys. Just 7 hours of cruising through the day at your very best because of a little bottle that's not even 2 fluid ounces that you kept in your desk drawer, that you put in your gym bag, that's in the center console of your car. Good on you. Tell a friend or two. VitaminEnergy.com. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminoles sports source. Thumbs up, 5-star ratings, reviews, subscriptions, the YouTube, the actual website. Again, you get access to not only warchant.com, but you can check out all the other premium content across On3 networks. You can also check out what's going on the opponent's message boards. You can read it, but you can't post back. But hey, there's limitations to everything in life. No limitations to the charm, the wit, the knowledge of a one Corey S. Clark. He joins us from parts unknown in Central Florida. Corey, thanks for being here, man. How are you, big dog?
Hey, thanks for having me, Aslan. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And I think the wireless will hold up. Had a bit of a meltdown on headlines on Tuesday, but finally got it figured out, and let's hope we can ride through it today.
All right, we're going to do some mailbag stuff. I want to touch on this one that we didn't get to.
I'll tell you the thing that bothers me, Aslan, is I bought the expensive premium high-speed internet. You know when they give you that option, free? You put in your room number, you put in your name, and then they're like, okay, you can have free access, which is for the peasants. Yeah, or you can go and get the high-speed $5 a day access. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be doing a broadcast on StreamYard on Tuesday, so I absolutely need to get the $5 package. I'm going to get that high speed. Buddy, it was flying Monday night. Nice. Absolutely flying. On Tuesday, it reset to the free hi-fi, and I couldn't go back and repurchase the premium access. Couldn't figure it out. Turned off my computer 10 times. Forgot the Wi-Fi. Turned it back on. All that stuff. It never came back. So get it together, Hilton. Anyway, let's go.
We're a Marriott program anyways. Get at us, Bonvoy.
That's right.
We didn't get to this one from last week, but it comes from our guy Vari. Fun kind of question from the top, because we talk about all the prolific accolades and accomplishments of a one Brady Clark, but we never get to brag on Dad or the co-host of the show here. He was wondering what our top plays were that we've ever made in our life. For our guy Vari, he said he got fooled on an nasty curve, strike 2. Then he guessed the pitcher was going to throw it again, and he hit his one and only home run for Melbourne High School. And then later in his career, they were playing their rivals Palm Bay for a championship. They put one of their starters in Palm Bay to close out the last inning. Our guy Vari was told by the third base coach to bunt it towards first with a little nudge. Well, I just knew I was going to be out, but I executed the plan to perfection and beat everyone to first.
All right.
I let them know there was on one shift in hockey at my club hockey team. I was horrible at hockey, but one day, one shift, I actually scored 2 goals like back to back within 30 seconds, which was awesome. And then in soccer, my best exploit was like in a playoff game where I literally saved a penalty kick and it was a tie game. And then with like a minute or 2 left, I pushed up on a corner kick to take part to help out the effort, and I actually headed it in off the corner, scored a game-winning goal. And it was the only goal I ever scored via header, so it was a nice little touch. What about you, Corey? How many times you go yard for Mill Creek, or is that where Brady goes?
That's where Brady went. Or went.
Meadowbrook.
Actually.
Meadowbrook.
No, Meadow Creek. Come on.
Meadow Creek. Sorry.
Close. No, never did anything. Well, that's not true. I won the JV hitting award at Meadow Creek, but I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of life. I would say, like, I had a lot of cool accomplishments when I was little. Like, I was a pretty good athlete, so I scored 3 goals in a soccer game when I was like 9. I was always a pretty good hitter and a really good fielder. Up until like 14, but it's like who cares about that?
Yeah.
Like, so I would say post like where everybody became a good athlete and I became an average athlete. There was a rec ball game at Georgia where we played 1s and 2s, and you played to 15, and I hit like 6 threes. So I accounted for 12 of our points, including when they started running 2 guys at me. And I still hit one over this really tall guy and then stared him down after I made it. Anyway, later in the game, I had a horrible turnover where they scored and won the game. But still, I hit 6 threes in one. I was like 6 of 6 or 5. It was either 5 of 5 or 6 of 6. We'll go ahead and say 6 of 6, which is crazy. I couldn't do that in an empty gym, even back then when I was a pretty decent shooter. But in one game, I hit 6 threes and then had a horrible turnover to lose the game, and we didn't get to play again for another hour.
All right, well, that counts.
It's one of those things. You got to win to stay on. If not, and you would have thought the team coming on after us would have been like, hey, let's just get the guy that made 6 threes. Let's put him on our team.
Yeah.
But no, I think maybe they'd walked up right for the turnover. And that kid can't play, so I had to wait another hour to play.
I got you. All right, before we get to our Renegade Express mailbag, which, by the way, this will be a continuation tomorrow. It'll be a 2-parter. Tomorrow we'll do the drawing for the April winner of the Cummins gift bag, and we'll also feature this week's best question. But I saw this the other day. Our guys, Ari Wasserman and Andy Staples over at Corporate in Nashville, post their 10 top head coaching jobs in college football. Only Andy had an ACC team, unless you want to count Notre Dame, in which case both guys had Notre Dame, but they're not in the ACC. But he had Clemson as a number 9 job. Ari did not have any ACC teams on his list. How much of the fact that Florida State is not on that list do you think is because they're not in the Power 2? I don't think it's, I think maybe, 15% of it, Corey, because I think if Florida State is coming off a 9-3, 9-4 season, I think they find themselves on that list. But I think it's the 2-10 combined with being in the ACC that doesn't get them on that list, because there's no way that Penn State and Michigan and Oklahoma, I don't even know if you can say Clemson's, and Ari's got A&M on his list. I just can't imagine a world in which Florida State's not one of the 10 best jobs, or is that the world that we live in now?
I mean, it could go both ways. I can see both sides of it. I can't quite fathom how anybody would have A&M as the 4th best job in the country when literally they won the last time they won a national championship. Wizard of Oz was in theaters.
He talks about this is about the future though, so he's like, don't miss me with the they never won a title.
In North Carolina's a sleeping giant, right? They've been a sleeping giant my entire lives in football. Now their first lady of the football program is about Brady's age. They're not a sleeping giant. They're just asleep. They're just asleep. Florida State has managed somehow to have 3 different coaches over the last 25 years have a 13-0 season. I don't know how many other college football programs in America can say that, but not many. 3 different coaches, Bowden in 99, Jimbo in 13, Mike Norvell in 23, had 13-0 football seasons that won ACC championships. 2 of them won national champs. Maybe if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt and they're allowed in the invite, that Florida State team wins a national championship. That's not normal. You could also screw it up here, but you can screw it up anywhere, except maybe Ohio State. Maybe that in this day and age isn't screw-upable. But yeah, but it's degrees, right? Like I don't. Maybe you'd have Florida as a better job than Florida State or Oregon, but it's like, okay, man, Oregon is a cool job. I get it, and they have a ton of money. They've never won a national championship either. Now they've at least competed for one. They've gotten close, and they are good. So I would say with the money and the infrastructure there, that is a very, very elite. That's an elite job. But miss me with Texas A&M, man. I don't care how much money they make. I don't care how much oil money they have or the state of Texas. They're always second fiddle in that state, always will be, and they've never won anything. So stop it. It's just crazy to think, I get Florida State's coming off 2-10. I think more than that, though, it probably is the ACC versus the everybody else. But again, man, I am telling you, folks, that 2023 Florida State team was as good as those other four when they had Jordan Travis. They would not take a backseat to anyone. That was an elite team that had 15 draft picks on it, including a really good quarterback. Now, when he got hurt, yes, they're probably not beating Michigan with Tate Rodemaker. But Mike Norvell, who's capable of 2-10, who, as far as I know, isn't even a very good college football coach. I don't know that. I know Jimbo didn't turn out to be incredible, but somehow these two average-ass coaches who aren't very good, apparently, managed to figure out a way to go 13-0 and win championships. So Florida State has some stuff going for it. And by the way, I don't think either one of them are average necessarily, but they definitely had average seasons, and Mike Norvell has plenty to prove. I don't know if he's any good at all. I don't think it was a miracle that he went 13-0, though, just like I don't think it was a miracle that Jimbo did or Bobby Bowden did.
Riser Mike back on the ponies with us. Let's talk a little bit more about that Jordan Travis guy in the 2023 team. He believes that Jordan Travis is a top 5 all-time Nole when you factor in what he was for the university along with his character. My question is this: how much different would the team currently be if Jordan would have declared for the NFL after the 2022 season? Would we have repeated a 10-win season in 2023? Would we have went to the portal for a quarterback? Whom do you think we would have been going after? Would they still be here? No DJ? Would we have experienced a 2-10 season in 2024? He does not believe so. He thinks that we probably win 7 to 8 games and never have that undefeated regular season.
Yeah, look, Florida State wasn't that appealing, I would think, from a quarterback perspective. Like, I don't think you were going to go get anything close to Jordan Travis in the portal. I don't remember who came out of the portal in 22.
I'll try to find
going into the 23 season. But I don't know that Florida State's fishing from that pond of, like, the elites, whoever that would have been. Maybe a Dylan Gabriel. Like, he just played Florida State, but he went to Oregon. I don't know if you can compete. I just said this. I mean, they're a really good program. I don't know if you can compete with them financially. Also, maybe he liked their offense better, their skill position players better. Like, it's not like you had Keon on the roster, so that was appealing. Keon came because of Jordan Travis.
You ready for some names?
Yeah, let's go.
Number 1 quarterback was Sam Hartman that year. Devin Leary, who was at NC State, wound up at Kentucky. Brennan Armstrong, who went from Virginia to NC State. DJ went from Clemson to Oregon State. And then Tanner Mordecai, who went from SMU to Wisconsin. Those are your top 5 quarterbacks in the 23 portal class.
Was Dylan Gabriel not? I thought, didn't he leave Oklahoma and go to Oregon? Or
maybe they didn't rank him all that high. I mean, this is a and listen. We're going to be working on this stuff, I think, over at headquarters to figure this stuff out. But yeah, I'm scrolling through here. I do not see him as one of the guys. Haynes King, he went to Georgia Tech that year, leaving A&M. That would have been nice.
So I guess if the question, let's say the question is, if Travis leaves after 22 and you get Haynes King, yes, I would say absolutely the 2024 season is better. I don't think the 23 season is as good. You're not going 13-0 with Haynes King, I don't think. You're also not getting Keon Coleman with Haynes King being your starting quarterback. He's going to go somewhere else where he trusts the quarterback a little more. Haynes King hadn't really accomplished anything. At A&M, he was just kind of a runner. But yeah, I think that makes the next year, when you have a returning quarterback, that makes your 2024 season better. And I guess if you look at it in hindsight, would you rather go 8-4 both years or 7-5 both years as opposed to 13-0 and 2-10? I don't know, man. I think it's easier to say now. Yeah, absolutely we would. But 13-0 was fun. That was a magical season. That LSU game was fun. That Duke fourth quarter was fun. Beating Miami both those years. I mean, that wasn't a great game they played against Miami, but getting to watch Keon Coleman, that was fun. And I don't think you're doing that if Haynes King had come here 2 years in a row, but you're also not going 2-10 with Haynes King as your quarterback. It's a fair question. I don't really know how to answer it, though, with a preference. I really like 13-0, but I never want to be anywhere close to 2-10 again.
No, he was at Oklahoma in 2023.
Oh, so he was only at Oregon for 1 year?
Yeah, because Bo Nix was there at 23.
Good call, Aslan. Good call.
You actually know who was in the portal as well that year? A guy by the name of Thomas Castellanos.
That's right.
Who knows what could have happened? Moving along. Next question, our guy, CTFSU 1999. I've been a member of Warchant since the paper version of the Osceola was delivered to my military dorm room back in 1990 when I was sent overseas. That was how I kept up with my Noles pre-internet. This is my first question on the board. Do you know CTFSU 1999, Corey?
Do I? I don't know.
He knows you. I don't know. Corey knows me from the RV tailgate. I'm the grill guy in the, quote, other RV.
Oh, yeah.
As well as his Mio and surgery sock supplier.
He gets me the socks, man. Those things. So I asked, Stephanie had some sort of procedure done where she got those hospital socks that have the traction on the bottom. They're really warm.
Okay.
And they have the traction on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, I get a discount on those. I can get all. And so he brought me one of the tailgates. He brought me like 30 pairs. Nice. Maybe not that many, but he brought me quite a bit, and it was very, very much appreciated. I love those things.
All right. He says, here it goes. I've got a let's walk into the world of conspiracies. Do you think ESPN would put FSU in the preseason top 25 to hedge their bets and protect the SEC's reputation? Doing so either A, ensures Alabama beats a top 25 team on the road in a Power 4 conference, or B, avoids Alabama potentially losing to an unranked non-SEC team for the first time since 2007. Love the show. Love Warchant. Corey, see at the tailgate. Aslan will always have your favorite beverage on ice just in case you grace us with your presence. Thanks, CT. All right, take up on
man.
it. Grapefruit, please. Grapefruit high noons. And I guess Long Waters, is that something? Whatever Ira brought to the golf tournament, I think I don't know. It's another one of these seltzers things. I love them. They're delicious.
I can't drink too many of them. They're a little swimmy in the stomach after a while, but 2 or 3 I can handle. Too much carbs or not carbs, the carbonation is too much. I would say, no, I don't think they're going to think about that. I think that they know. I don't know if they care that much about ranking. It's not like, me personally, they know if Alabama wins a bunch of games, they're going to be ranked really high. It doesn't matter. Whether they beat Florida State or not, they're going to play enough highly ranked teams that they don't have to worry about the SEC prestige with a non-conference game or an Alabama losing to a non-conference game or not. And also, what they really care about is eyeballs, and there's going to be a ton of them on that game, whether there's a number next to Florida State or not. And there absolutely will not be a number next to Florida State when that game is played.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, they might finish the season ranked top 25, but it's hard to confidently say they're going to be top 25. But I don't know. Can you confidently say there's 25 teams better than Florida State?
Right now? No.
Yeah.
Who can? That's why we talk about it on headlines every week, because Jeff is so adamant that it's going to be really tough for them to win 8 games coming off 2-10. And I'm like, but that's not this team. That team is gone forever. Like, the whole offense is new. And the coaching staff is new. So saying that because they were so bad in South Bend, they can't be good against Alabama makes no sense because they're completely different players. Literally, like not just they've gotten bigger and stronger, it's a whole different team, especially on offense. It's an entirely different offense. So how could anyone know? Like I'm not convinced they got a bunch of NFL guys in the portal, but I think they got better at every single position on offense. And I don't know what Alabama did. Like, we just – it's not – you can't judge it the way you used to anymore. You just can't. You don't know what all these other teams are either. You know if they have a returning quarterback or not. And you know, like in Ohio State's case, yeah, they got an incredible wide receiver. So does Alabama, by the way, that's coming back. That's nice. That's a nice feather in the cap. But you don't know what their running game is going to be like. You don't know what their quarterback's going to be. Or their defense. It's all brand new, man. It's all brand new. I'm going ahead to assume that Alabama will be good because it's Alabama. Yeah. But – I mean, are they going to be like Saban prime Alabama? Or are they going to be like last year's Alabama team? Like last year's Alabama team was good by any measure, really. 9-4 is good, right? But It certainly wasn't great, and it certainly wasn't unbeatable. And you can't in May you can't know who's unbeatable. Yeah. You just there's no way any of us last May would have said there is 0 chance Florida State can beat Notre Dame in South Bend. We might have all picked it as a loss, but no way did we think, man, that game in South Bend is unwinnable. Not only is it unwinnable, it's going to be embarrassingly bad. You just don't match up with them. Nobody was sitting here in May, I'm talking about in Tallahassee or in Indiana.
Or Bristol, Connecticut.
Yeah, right. Nobody was saying that. Nobody even could imagine a scenario where Florida State is so outmanned that they're going to lose by 50 points to Notre Dame. No chance. So it's crazy to me that we still live in this bubble, some of us, that not even a bubble, just this mindset that things aren't wildly different now, and what you were last year has anything at all to do with what you're going to be this year. Because it doesn't. We just lived it. We just went from 13-0 to 2-10. Nothing that happened in 2023 carried over. Not one darn thing. So then why would we think that something that happened in 2024 automatically carries over? Unless you just think Norvell is a horrible coach, which, fine, but there's proof to the contrary on that too. So I don't know. That was a long-winded answer.
I mean, if you kind of just do the math, listen, I know it's going to make a lot of people upset, but there's 10 teams in the SEC that are probably better than Florida State preseason, I would think. And I know we're talking about at the end of the year, but listen, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, and A&M.
But why do we think that? Just because of how they finished the season, or are you talking about
the strength of their program, the fact they've not had these levels of lows? Like, listen, man, Elijah Drinkowitz got hired the same time as Mike Norvell. He's won more games at Missouri than Mike Norvell's won at Florida State. Yeah. South Carolina's got a quarterback. A&M's got things on a pretty good trajectory, it feels like, with Elko there. We'll see. I don't know, maybe Ole Miss takes a step back, losing their quarterback. LSU, listen, Norvell's beat him twice. I get it. But Brian Kelly's never fallen to the depths that Florida State has. We'll talk about Alabama here in a second. Tennessee was in the playoff last year. Georgia was in the playoff last year. Texas was in the playoff last year. I think there's only probably 4 teams in the Big Ten. I would say Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and Illinois. I think probably neutral site or favored over Florida State. Big 12, I don't know, maybe just one, just because, one of those teams will probably is going to make the playoff by virtue of being the best team in that conference. And then, I don't know, maybe 2 teams in the ACC are better than Florida State, Clemson, and then if you want to make an argument, which I wouldn't, that Louisville or Miami is, and then one group of 5 team. So I don't even think that's 20 teams I just listed, right?
But also, I think all of that is speculation based on last year. And I'm not disagreeing with you. It might end up as
I don't know. I don't know if there's I can't tell you which team in the Big 12, but I bet you the Big 12 champion is probably going to be better than Florida State.
Buddy, I'm telling you, there might be 7 teams in the Big 12 that are better than Florida State. There might be 0. Like, we just don't know. That was my overriding point. Like, the fact that Missouri had a decent season last year, South Carolina, by its standards, had a good season, it doesn't matter this year. It just doesn't. We just lived it.
But they're bringing back important pieces. They've got their defensive end, Dylan Stewart. They've got Lenore Sellers, a quarterback, South Carolina.
But
I think they'd be safe.
You have a bad start to September, and let's see if it can. And I'm not saying it will. It will spiral on a couple of teams. Now, it's not going to spiral to the depths of hell that Florida State lived. But I'm just saying, in May, it's impossible to know what any of these, other than the bluest of blue bloods, in Ohio State, Texas, Georgia. Even though I have no idea what Georgia's going to do at quarterback, but Ohio State and Texas for sure are better than you, much, much better than you. And most of those teams you mentioned might be better than Florida State, but we just don't know. It's all speculation in May, and it's a radio show, or it's a podcast, so this is what we're supposed to do. But we can't speak with certainty about who's better than what anymore, because that's just not how this sport works anymore. It isn't. This sport. You're going to have huge ups and huge downs, not maybe to the level of Florida State, but I don't think I'd be surprised if Missouri went 5-7. Just same thing with South Carolina, same thing with A&M. Like I have no idea what these teams are. In a given day, or in a given year, let's say, Florida State can be better than those teams. We'll see with this one. We'll see what Castellanos is. But if Castellanos looks like 2023 Castellanos, and you're running for 260 yards a game as a team, yeah, man, you're going to be good. But that's it. That's a big if. That's all. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's hard. It's impossible to know right now who's better than who, except for the bluest of blue bloods.
If there was
I'm taking the Noles in the points against Bama. You heard it here first, folks. Get on that. Jump on that early. Take Florida State in the points.
If you're not going to be one of the lucky 65,000 people able to pack into the brand new, renovated, state-of-the-art Doak Campbell Stadium on August 30th to watch the Noles shock the world and take down Alabama, come to Tallahassee anyways. Hang out. Go to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
What do we think Alabama's going to be ranked?
8th.
Tom's been in the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. The Sox guy. He's been in the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. He comes there every Friday. Aslan, you should make an appearance every Friday before a home game. He's there with Keith every now and again, so you should make an appearance sometime.
I want to say I went to the Corner Pocket way more on a Friday last year than I did in 2023, so maybe I'm the problem. So maybe
that was weird.
My exposure.
Seems like you should have basked in it more in 23.
I should have.
Yeah.
I should have. You folks can do it whenever you're in town. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials. Happy hour from 4 to 7 o'clock during weekdays. And then on Sundays, football season, it's all day long. Watch your NFL team. Bask in the afterglow of watching the polls update and seeing Florida State make their climb back to the top. Live music going down the weekends. I don't have an artist in front of me, so maybe this weekend it's not happening. The next one I have from the graphic that Stephanie sent me a few months ago was somebody that's going to be playing in June. We'll talk about that in June. In the meanwhile, cold drinks, delicious food, and not just for like bar food standards, like just a really good meal. Dartboards, pool tables. Obviously, it's the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And Corey Clark sometimes.
This too. I need to add this. So Florida State baseball plays at Cal this weekend. You can go ask a bartender. If Bill's there, go find Bill. There will be somebody that will change the TV for you quickly if you don't see it on already. But they'll have Florida State against California baseball on at least a couple of TVs because it's hard with the internet to put them on every TV. They're not, but he'll have them on a couple. So you can go watch Florida State versus Cal baseball. If you get there, beforehand, you can go ask to watch the Florida State softball team. I think they play this morning at 11 a.m. against Georgia Tech in the quarters or semis of the ACC tournament. But I bring this up, Aslan, because here in Orlando, and I know we're still in the middle of the Corner Pocket.
We are.
We went out to a bar/live music place on Monday night. Wanted to watch the end of the Nuggets Thunder basketball game.
It was a good one.
Literally asked them to turn the channel above the bar when it was late in the second quarter. They finally got it turned with 10 minutes to go in the game. It literally took 45 minutes.
That's incredible.
It's insanity. And for the first 35 minutes, they just didn't do it. She's like, I'll ask my manager to do it. I'll get my manager to do it. Nothing. And I don't blame her. She did ask the manager, but the manager was busy doing whatever he was doing. And then for 10 minutes, the manager can't get the TV to change. He's sitting there trying. He's having to go to a different input. And it's like, what in the world? It's not like I asked to watch Murder ID, some crazy random channel on the ID channel or whatever. I was asking to switch it to TNT for a NBA playoff game. But anyway, Corner Pocket, you don't have that problem. You ask somebody to change a channel, they will change it quickly.
We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Again, we'll do the rest of the mailbag questions in tomorrow's show. We got some baseball ones in here it'll be better because we'll get to speak to Link later today and then have something to talk about on the Friday program. Let's go down to Naples. Let's go to our guy, Mark. Wake up. I'm ready to come onto the show to discuss the JFK Files release. Spoiler alert, there are some good nuggets in there. The discussion on headlines on Tuesday was about the most winnable of the Big Four opponents is interesting to me. I agree on Miami for obvious reasons, but second most winnable/gettable has to be Alabama. The question becomes, how does FSU pull it off? It would be a shocker to see Tommy come out in his debut on that stage and throw for 303 touchdowns with all new receivers. It comes down to me about whether or not Gus can do Gus things with a running game and slow the game down. I don't know if he wants to slow the game down, but I know what you're saying. And also a healthy Gavin Sawchuk returning to form is also a big deal, he thinks. I did a quick and messy scout of Alabama, Corey. So they're favored by like 10, 11 points.
11, I think, yeah.
All right, so I'll humor everybody out there. They don't even know who their starting quarterback is right now. Apparently, there was at one point before the last practice of spring, I think, where their offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, said if we had a game tomorrow, it would be Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson's a guy who is in his fourth year at the program and has never really played a game of any consequence. Their receivers are going to be good, though, right? Ryan Williams, not quite Jeremiah Smith as a true freshman, but a freshman phenom nonetheless. Jeremy Bernard's a guy that caught 50 passes, and they added Isaiah Horton from Miami, and I thought Horton was really good at Miami. I think he caught maybe 60 balls last year. Their offensive line is solid. They've got 3/5 of their returning offensive line back. They got Caden Proctor at left tackle. He's 6'7", 360. Interested to see how the James Williams, Caden Proctor cat and mouse is going to break down to. But their right tackle is going to be a brand new guy that's kind of, he's waited his time. And then they went into the portal to address like their left guard position, which might be this kid from A&M or a guy that played a bunch of right guard for them last year. Their running backs are really pedestrian. Their tight ends are a complete mess. So it's like, all right, you don't have a quarterback. You have really good receivers and probably an above average offensive line. Okay. Defensively, they run a 4-2-5. Not spectacular, but a really solid guy on the interior in Tim Keenan. James Smith is their other interior defensive lineman. Serviceable, adequate, nothing spectacular. Their edge guy, LT Overton, had 39 pressures, but 2 sacks maybe. And then their hybrid pass rusher coverage guy off the end, Quay Rousseau, who's been average. Linebacker Deontay Lawson, he's great, but he's coming off an injury. Justin Jefferson, their other likely starter linebacker, he was limited in spring because of injury. 2 good safeties, 1 really good safety in Bray Hubbard. Their other safety, Keon Sapp, he was injured last year, missed spring as well. Cornerback, average, maybe slightly above average. Damani Jackson was good last year. Cam Calhoun, the guy out of the transfer portal. So all that to say, they're very mortal. All the things that people are projecting Alabama to be is because it's Alabama, but it's not Nick Saban. I do like the fact they went and got Ryan Grubb back. They've reunited the band. He was the OC for Kalen DeBoer for all those years. He ended up sticking around in the Pacific Northwest when DeBoer went to Tuscaloosa. Was the OC for the Seattle Seahawks. They were middle of the road in the NFL, and I don't think they had really that great of talent, so I think he's probably a pretty good coach. I'm just surprised to see the line so freaking big based on all that, because I haven't looked at the matchup of Florida State versus that, but nothing on Alabama's roster makes you absolutely quake your boots other than, I guess, maybe Ryan Williams being guarded by Quindarius Jones or Kai Bates or Charles Lester.
The
That's
beauty
scary.
in that is that it's not going to be the Adam Fuller defense where it's just going to be like, hey, you're out there, run down the sideline with him. It's man-to-man, it's press coverage. If he tries to run down the sideline, try to run down with him. They're going to play a lot more zone. So theoretically, there won't be just a bunch of one-on-one shots downfield. You should have a safety help. You should be playing zone. But, yeah, man, they're good. I mean, they're going to be good. DeBoer and Grubb is a good combination, and Ryan Williams is an NFL wide receiver, probably a first-round pick at NFL wide receiver, maybe a top 10 pick. That's a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for anyone. It's just if you can run the ball. If you can run the ball, you got a chance. If you have 26 carries for 44 yards, you have no chance. But if you have 40 carries for 220, you're in the game. You're in, and I don't know that can't be done. It's a whole new offense. I'm not expecting them to beat Alabama, but I'm not scared to death of Alabama because, again, this isn't and I know I'm the guy that's been saying they should have canceled this game. I've been saying that for 2 years now, and they should have, but too late now. It's too deep into it. The scouting's already been done, but yeah, I think that we again, and you said what you said about Alabama, they might end up going 17-0, Aslan. We have no idea. I don't think they're that good. I don't think the quarterback is certainly the first game of the season. You wouldn't expect a great game from whoever's their quarterback because it's their first game on a stage like that against what we hope anyway may not be a great defense, but will be a confusing defense. So a confusing defense matched up against a new starter at quarterback won't be the easiest thing for them unless they can run at will. And if they can run at will, then it won't matter. So, yeah, there's a lot of question marks, but it's not unwinnable. It's not unwinnable. This isn't 2020 Alabama. This is a gettable team.
Two-score favorite. That's the thing. I'm not saying Alabama shouldn't be favored. But to see 10.5, and then you actually look at their roster and you think about matchups, they do not have a dominant defensive line.
That's all coming off that's 2-10, right?
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's 2-10, which is fair. I would say I don't think this is 2020 Alabama. I also don't expect this to be 2024 Florida State. Now, will it be 2023 Florida State? No, but could be 2022 Florida State. And that team was good enough to hang with this Alabama team, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm just selling hope, baby. I'm selling hope. Keep listening, folks. Keep listening. I think football is fun.
I think part of it, too, is when you listen, I don't think we're being homers, but when you think about the acquisitions Florida State made in the winter window, on the whole, it adds up, it makes sense, and you like it. You're like, all right, Deuce gives you a big, reliable target. Squirrel gives you something underneath, a little bit more shifty. The quarterback, this offensive coordinator, good synergy there.
Lineman.
Yeah, the whole all new offensive line. There's no like headline slam dunk thing. I guess like when these guys are setting lines out there in Vegas or whatever, where it's people are like, oh well, Florida State added for a slam dunk quarterback. They added a slam dunk running back that's going to run for 1,300 yards. But like when you think about it on the whole, and you think about what Alabama, like listen, Alabama's got a lot of guys that got banged up, guys that had season-ending injuries last year, missed spring. I'm sure they'll be full go in the fall, but that game on August 30th is going to be the first time they've really gone full speed since, September, October of the previous year. Yeah. So for you, do you think, is the blueprint more of, if they beat Alabama, will it be like a Vanderbilt-esque thing where Florida State is able to run the ball? Like they're just going to, I don't want to say outman them, but they just find a way to out-physical and just be relentless in running the football? Or I don't know if anybody really went crazy offensively throwing the football against them last year. I don't think so. But maybe like Oklahoma, where Oklahoma just totally suffocated Alabama and just made enough plays to score enough points to beat them.
Yeah, I don't expect that kind of game. What was that, like 16 to
24 to 3. 24 to 3 Oklahoma beat them.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't expect that. I expect more of the Vanderbilt game, maybe not as high scoring, but I just think I want to see it in person before I really go all in on this, but Castellanos is a freak, man. He is a freak as a quarterback running the football. He is freakish. That is something you obviously didn't have last year, but it's something that even great defenses, all through our history watching college football, a mobile quarterback like that is a nightmare. If he's playing well, he is a nightmare. It's hard to hem him up. It just is. 2023 Florida State was a very good defense. That guy had a great game and went for 400 yards. When he's playing well, he's going and hopefully. I know it didn't happen with last year's quarterback. He'll be completely fresh and healthy for that first game, and you can really ride his legs because that's the difference. Everything else being equal, or even on Alabama's side, and it probably will be man for man, their defense versus your offense. They probably have more talent, player for player, but they don't have anybody that can emulate Thomas Castellanos. Like he is Tommy. Sorry, It's just that guy's different, man. He's a 1,000-yard rusher. As a quarterback, you can't account for him. And if you put too much attention to him and he draws too much gravity, that does open up holes for everything else. So I just don't think we can comprehend, if he's healthy, if he's the 2023 version, just like you need the 2023 version of Salchuk. But if he's the 2023 version of Tommy Castellanos, we can't quite articulate how much that changes everything. You just have to see it. But trust me, if he's healthy and running like that, it opens up everything offensively. And if he's hurt, who knows, man? Get ready for postseason baseball. Like, hopefully your team is doing well and is going to play in the playoffs or something.
Couldn't think of a better segue, and I didn't set it up this way. But our guy Noel for Life, class of 2007, agree or disagree? We as a fan base have to stop hyping up transfer portal acquisitions. It's reinforcing bad behaviors when it comes to Norvell and the staff in high school recruiting. After we talk about Tommy being a freak and all that, it's great.
Oh, right. But I want to clarify, he is a freak athletically. I'm not saying he's a freakish quarterback like Jameis or Peyton Manning. But athletically, guys, there aren't many like this out there.
Is he between Lamar and Jordan, or is he behind Lamar and Jordan?
I think he's between. He's a better runner than Jordan Travis was. He's no one's Lamar Jackson. He's between them. I think he's right in the middle of those two. He is he's better than the Vanderbilt kid as a runner. Yeah. Maybe not as tough for like 3rd and 2 getting you the 4 yards, and that kid terrorized Alabama last year. So again, these mobile kids, man, that can get you first downs on 3rd and 4 with the scramble, or turn a 12-yard run into a 50-yard run. Like they're difference makers, man. And early in the year, he should be fresh and healthy.
The tricky thing with hyping up these portal transfers, these acquisitions, and I don't disagree with the sentiment here, but I got caught flat-footed in 2022 because I did not think Trey Benson, I did not think Johnny Wilson, guys that didn't do anything at their previous stops, were going to come to Florida State and have this renaissance under a staff that had won 8 games the combined 2 seasons prior. But that was a different time where there were those cracks in the system where guys could leave a program, right? Like guys could just kind of get processed out, and there was turnover going on there Herm Edwards was getting dumped at Arizona State, and I don't know what was going on at Oregon. I think maybe that was around the time that Mario was leaving Oregon. So there could be those gaps to where there isn't a personnel guy, there isn't a GM to be like, no, he was hurt, but we need to keep him because he actually might be something. So like, I don't want to get flat-footed and be like, Deuce Robinson, whatever, Squirrel White, we'll see, and then have them, become these hugely productive pieces. But I do think the variance to where you can see a guy be a nobody, like a Johnny Wilson or Trey Benson, and then come be a all-conference guy, I think that variance is highly unlikely. So I do feel a little bit bad about putting like these great expectations on Deuce to where like we're thinking 50, 60 catches, 900 yards, 8 touchdowns as like a number one receiver in a Gus Malzahn offense. But then you're like, man, he played at USC.
But is that unreasonable? I mean,
I don't think it's unreasonable, but I mean, he was at a really good program with a really good quarterback and a really renowned offensive mind for a coach, and they let him leave. So either they let him leave or Florida State spent a whole lot of money to get him to leave there, and that's one of your pieces that you really have to hit on. Like, I don't want to put undue expectations on Deuce Robinson, but man, Deuce Robinson's got to play really at an elite level for Florida State this year because of the amount of what they've invested in him, I believe.
Yeah, sure. I would say, though, if you just go and look at, let's assume that he's your number one receiver and stays healthy all year. Those are all assumptions, but if he's your number one receiver and stay healthy, what's the average number one receiver in Gus Malzahn's offense put up?
I mean, probably 45 and 800 maybe. If
that's all I'm expecting.
Okay.
Now, he might end up being an all-conference type player. He might end up being a second-day NFL draft pick. He might end up being really good. But all I'm expecting is him to be the number one receiver and put up number one receiver numbers. And when we say we hype these guys, look, man, I'm hyping him in the sense that he's better than what you had. Sawchuk is better than what was currently in that room. Randy Pittman's a nice addition. I'm not saying he's the next
Nick O'Leary.
I was going to say Pat Carter. I was going to go back to the late 80s.
Old
school reference. Pat Carter, Keith Jackson from Oklahoma, one of those 80s guys. Shockey. I'm not saying he's the next Jeremy Shockey, but he's a good player, man. And so anyway, the point being, Deuce Robinson, whether he has too high expectations or not, he's better than what you had last year because he's proven it. Much more so than, let's say, Jaylen Brown or Malik Benson, right? We were hoping they would turn into something. Deuce Robinson has proven he can play at this level and make big plays in big games. Now, he didn't have a ton of numbers by great receiver standards. He also played with other good receivers. So they spread it around a lot. Gus Malzahn ain't about that life. So he and Squirrel White could put up pretty substantial numbers if they can stay healthy. But the overall point is, when it comes to the question being hyping up the transfer guys, look, nobody can argue that Norvell hasn't made grave mistakes on the recruiting trail high school. But now, what do you want him to do? Like, it sounds like the question is, or the complaint is, giving Norvell all this praise for his transfer portal makes him ignore high school recruiting, and therefore the team won't ever be any good. Man, when he got here, he had to do that. He had to hit the portal hard because the cupboard was so bare. Now, he screwed up royally in hindsight from 2022 to 24 in the recruiting circles, high school recruiting circles. But now that he's coming off 2-10, you want him to now dive back into developing players? He won't be here. He's got to go get these portal guys. And the reality is, because of the roster makeup, there is no doubt that they got better players in the portal that were coming up through the ranks. Now, that's a criticism, that's an indictment, but it's also the reality. So he had to go do this. He had to go. James Williams was better than anything they had at defensive end. Anything. That's just the reality of the situation, man. They had to go do that. In the offensive line, you absolutely had to go get those guys. Now, that's a fault of Atkins and Norvell, but it's the reality, and he just has to live in reality. Now, when he goes 11-1 this year, you'd like him to turn that in to maybe a top 10 high school recruiting class, Aslan. Yeah. But we'll see if that happens, because 13-0 certainly didn't make that dream come true.
We've gotten hard out because of myself here, but the one thing I'm most uncomfortable with hyping up, I feel like Osamane Croma. I feel like us making this poor 18-year-old kid have to show up in
Sawchuk,
July.
baby. Didn't Sawchuk? Oh, by the way, I can't remember his name. Somebody emailed me a good nickname for him, Travis. the Sawchuck Redemption.
Okay.
What do you think? You like it?
Yeah.
I think his name's Matt. I should go back and check my email. I'm sorry, and I maybe I butchered that delivery. But the Sawchuck Redemption's not bad, right?
Yeah. All right. I'm there.
But I would say that really helps him. He is like a bridge to Cromall, right?
Okay. Good.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that guy's proven. But yes, I think 2 weeks ago, everybody was like, good Lord, I hope the Cromall kid can play. And I hope he's ready to play immediately because they need that. Now it's like, okay, you got a guy that you feel pretty comfortable in can get you some yards at least in the first month until Cromall gets his feet wet.
Because I'm just saying, we were putting, and I'm in the party of this because I was, amplifying messages about, well, they don't even have the best running back on campus yet. He'll be here when that'll be when Osmane Cromall shows up. Like, we were almost foisting these expectations on him of like Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, and it's like, man, he is not that guy. Maybe like year two, he's not a guy that's going to show up, I don't think, and do like crazy stuff like Cam. I mean, Cam ran for 1024 as a true freshman, averaged like over 5 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns. We know what Dalvin did once they let him loose. I'm glad that maybe Gavin Sawchuck can take some of that off of his shoulders on social media if he was feeling any of it. So. Well,
yeah, but hey, we're not hyping him up. He's a high school recruit. That's what we need to be doing. Yeah. We need to be hyping up these guys more.
All right, that's a wrap for us. Jeff Cameron Show, though, going strong throughout the week, 1 to 4 o'clock. Check it out. We'll be back with another show for you folks. Check out the Link Jarrett interview if you want to know information going on with baseball. Golf, big golf thing going down this weekend. We're going to speak to some golfers later today, Corey. I'm going to be on the golf beat.
Oh, okay, nice.
I'll bring some of that to the show.
Congrats to the lady golfers, the women's golf team. They won their regional. Flew past. They dominated that field. They had to finish in the top 5, and they won it. So they advanced to the national tournament, which is sometime late next week. So they've got Wode and Ting. They got the 2 best college golfers on the planet on their own team. So hopefully they can make some serious noise out there, wherever it is.
Amen, brother. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.